5-year plan, as you guys know, right? Yes. So if you actually see, we created this Testoper Intelligent Automation Codeathon that will run through the year starting from April, which is when we started. And we had more than 160 registrations. And, we are seeing people falling out a little bit, right? So we need to figure out, that's more on our side. We need to figure out. But we will obviously, as usual, I kind of recommend team, refer others to bring them in and give us some improvement ideas, whatever that you have to continuously improve on this, right? So this is very important. I'm not going to talk about test automation. So this is an intelligent automation codeathon that we are going through, which happens on every Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. Now, as a first phase, Krishna kind of going to complete his session on cloud fundamentals. Today he's going to have one session, and 1st of August, the second session, and then 8th of August is the third session. So 3 sessions, he will complete the cloud fundamentals. And obviously, who have been regularly attending, based on the percentage of the attendance and the same criteria how we did, in the last time, you will get the certificate of attendance from Testoper. And obviously, we request you to kindly put that in the LinkedIn and do some marketing for us. So then after August 8th, on August 15th, what's going to happen is the Intelligent Automation Codeathon track continues, but the new subject will be on microservices and Kubernetes. Okay, and this is on on the IA Codeathon track, and the topic is microservices and Kubernetes. If you are interested, please make sure that you register here. So we have a tracking for that. Then that is going to go from August 15th all the way to the August 15th all the way to the September 12th, right? Approximately 5 weeks on that. So once this microservice and Kubernetes introduction is complete, then we are starting on September 19th, a topic which is artificial intelligence with Python. So how to basically, what is the basics of, what is artificial intelligence, basics of it, how you can use different Python libraries that are available to kind of, do programming and train data and et cetera, that are related to the artificial intelligence. So it's going to start on September 19th. And that will go for 5-6 weeks, and then it will complete on September 24th. Okay, October 24th. And after October 24th, from October 31st onwards, Krishna will continue his session. Obviously, this one is provided by Ahmed, right? And this one is provided by Shad. If you click this, you will see the picture. Most of you know Shad is. And then Krishna comes back on August 31st. And continues on cloud and data architecture framework. So now this is going to be a little different, okay? So far, whatever you have been learning from us is all mostly, learn from Krishna is mostly on the theoretical side aspect of it and the concepts aspect of it so far, which is important to understand, right? Without understanding the concept, you can't do anything else. So once by the cloud fundamental, he kind of covers the whole thing. And then the next session on get into the workshop kind of a way, right? Hands-on workshop for you guys to do it in front of computers and so on, right? So that's what is going to kind of start from October 31st onwards. And we will end this in November 2nd week, like for example, just to make sure. And then December 1st week. And then after that, we will kind of take a break, right? Because December month, we'll kind of take a break. So it's going to kind of start on, just a minute. October 31st, and it ends on 12/05, and then rest of the December mostly we will take a break from Codeathon, and we will start the Codeathon again in mid-January to continue on other learning aspects from the intelligent automation point of view, like RPAs and additional concepts on IoTs and AI, anything related to the automation, right? The future stuff is all going to be covered in this session. Right, so just want to make sure that I spend a little bit time to make you understand how we are progressing on this step by step, so you are able to learn, additional topics and grow. As usual, all these things will be uploaded in the YouTube, and you can always go back and replay it to learn and continue to keep yourself updated on what's happening. So with that, Krishna, if you don't have any questions on this, I will hand over the floor to you or comments on this.
I think what I suggest is this is a good plan for people to come from, as Kadir mentioned, we covered pretty much as much as fundamentals on the cloud possible. So now the next, we will take you to the next one where you're going to go deep dive and things like that. So this is a very good transition starting from Kubernetes. I really recommend people to attend it because I think shared last week. Ahmed is one of the best in terms of deep Kubernetes, and also followed by Shad. And so yeah, definitely take time to attend these ones as well. So that's all, man. Just adding some few points what you already mentioned. So nothing
Thank
more.
you. You can share your screen and
Yep.
make sure that from the next after cloud fundamentals, all the sessions that when you attend, make sure you bring computers and make sure you sit in front of computers and code along and learn. Same as like test automation, how you do it. Okay. Perfect. Go ahead, Krishna.
Okay. So everybody can hopefully can see the screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Or what are you guys? I think it's showing my. Are you guys are seeing the slide deck, or are you guys are seeing something else? Just hang on a sec. I think there is some issues with this. Just give me a minute, please. Okay. Are you all seeing the past week review, week 13, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, right, yeah.
So I wouldn't go too much because it's week 13. So pretty much we have covered all the basic building blocks of cloud storage. We covered storage, application gateways, load balancers, DNS, private DNS, and things like that. So I don't know what's happening today. My clicker is really bad. Just 1 second, guys. Something is not right. Okay, guys, just give me 1 second. Okay, now I'm back. So today's session, we'll jump straight into the key topic for discussion. Today, we will touch base on the Azure Databricks, which I couldn't cover in the entirety last week, and we will start getting into the AI and also touch base on the Azure ML services in the studio. I wouldn't go too deep onto it, but I'll going to give you a level 200 overview, which means is you have just enough information to understand it. So we have a separate dedicated session by Saad. So that's going to give you more deeper dive. So some of the material today, I co-wrote with two of a proper data scientist, Jaya Matthew and Saad. Again, this topic is something you need to have a domain expertise. So that's why we're getting somebody that is more deeper on this. So yeah, so this is, we will touch base on it. I will cover the entire spectrum. You, after this today's session, you should have a good understanding of what's an offer and also what are the things you can do. Let me jump into, and as Kadir mentioned, we have subsequent sessions coming in. We can cover them as well. So I think coming back from last week, we last week I touched base on Azure History Insights. I think I didn't have a chance to answer the questions from last week. If you have any specific question on History Insight, please let me know. I will answer them today. But let's look at some data points. In terms of the challenges that are commonly faced by uh, big data and ML projects. The first and foremost is there are way too many offerings. So there is a multiple different products and services, especially in this area. There are some are homegrown, some are open source, some of them are closed source. The MarQ tools is extremely hard. That's from a tools perspective. Within the enterprise, what you also see is the data is usually extremely siloed between different teams and departments, and the whole lot, because for example, data would get generated by a certain team, and similar type of data would be generated by other teams as well. You take a large enterprise, you have extreme amount of data silos. And the last point is in terms of scaling. Because due to number of performance constraints and things like that, there is a cost associated with the scaling, and also when you have large scaling of requirements, all of a sudden implementation becomes challenging. So when you take we got some data points from couple of vendors. So what you find out is about 46% of the customers are having a potential, they're not having satisfied with all the tools and technologies. Even if you take an enterprise, if you go to your own enterprise, if you start to see the tools that they use, there will be a gazillion tool sets. So how does Databricks is going to help address some of these challenges? So if you think about Databricks, if you think about the origin of the Databricks, it was founded by the team that created Apache Spark. So Apache Spark is basically it's a unified analytics platform that basically unifies data sciences, engineering, and business. So the way the concepts of the Azure Apache Sparks are fundamentally to help businesses as well as from a technology aspects of it to grow by combining all the components into a single framework. So the Databricks is built using about 75 to 80% of the code in Databricks is from Apache open source Apache Spark. So if you take, okay, what is the advantage of Databricks? The first and foremost is the core is the ability of the runtime engine. So if you can create a cluster in a couple of seconds, literally a couple of seconds, and you have ability to dynamically scale up and down based on your needs. So the way they're able to do this is this engineering team from Databricks worked with the Spark engine, and then it's able to make 10x performance improvement at the core. And also the core engineering is based out of serverless, so which means you don't. That's how the engineering teams have built the product. The underlying platform is fully serverless, and it's also have the ability to build to handle massive fault by fault isolation. So in summary, what the Databricks engineering team has done to build the platform is they took all the cloud principles, serverless, fault isolation, configuring of multiple clusters into a single package. So that's why if you have a deployed Databricks, you hardly do anything. Basically, give the configuration value, the node size, and after a few seconds, your cluster is ready. Compare that with tools like Hadoop, how Hortonworks or Cloudera. There's a whole bunch of installation efforts you have to do, but Databricks is also the other way around. One thing I like about Databricks specifically on Azure is Databricks works with the Azure engineering team. It behaves like a native Azure service in comparison with any other tool set. So that's a whole difference.
So, but what is Databricks? Krishna, is it like a tool like Hadoop, big data tool, or what is the Databricks?
Actually, Databricks is a platform for big data platform. Okay. So if you take Hadoop, Hadoop is also a big data platform. But what we have done, it's a Spark engine. So it does similar. I wouldn't say similar function, equivalent function of Hadoop, but at a much more optimized layer, right? So one of the things what I would just touch base on this particular product is Hadoop is basically, if you think about Hadoop, the HDFS file system plays a major role, right? Yeah, and also the way you guys are building the nodes and computes are very different. So you need a massive array of machines to do that. But what Spark have done at, especially Databricks, everything is processed in memory versus everything in the disk layer, right? So it means they are also removing the inefficiency of a disk read, right? And because they're processing everything in the memory, the performance is exponentially higher. The second one is um, 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 these guys are able to build specialized tools and optimize read write logics, which also reduces the need to have the data stored on the disk, and they can use something like a blob storage for a low cost storage. Plus, on the same time, they're able to increase the velocity of processing. So it's basically it's a very new way of addressing the big data challenge. But there are some common similarities, but this is basically very, very ahead of in terms of Hadoop. In the last few years, if you see Hadoop ecosystem, right? The Hadoop ecosystem was composed of very extreme number of siloed, smaller tool sets. And then all of a sudden, the companies like Cloudera and Hortonworks tried to merge them into a single pipeline of tool sets. But it has got its own challenges as well. So it's a new way of processing big data, huge volumes of data.
And the Databricks company has a partnership with Microsoft. So this Azure Databricks platform came into existence from that point of view, is it?
Yeah. So what happened with the Databricks team, engineering team, basically worked with Microsoft engineering team. They built the product, basically fused the product into Azure platform. Okay. So when you start doing that, you are able to take advantage of every single innovation Azure platform is able to build into it. And as a customer, you are removed from the traditional challenges of infrastructure. You don't really need to upgrade your underlying operating system or anything. And if a new release of Spark comes in, there's a drop-down list. Hey, version 1.2 is ready. You go and change the drop-down list. The entire cluster changes to the new version of it with just like one click. So it's engineering-wise, they did an amazing job. Haven't seen any tool do this in the shortest possible time. That's why it's actually reflected in terms of how many people are adopting Databricks at much faster rate.
Okay.
It's a huge engineering thing. Then I haven't seen anything. Just on the point of let's keep the thought, right? So what they also done is, so for example, encryption. They took all the key features of encryption, addressed, untransit, and also fine-based role access control. Everything from the Azure native platform, they applied onto the product. So all of a sudden, if an enterprise, if you set up all your governance and things like that on Azure, these all reflected automatically into the Databricks, which means your time to market is increased significantly. The same note, if you want to do that's very similar in a Hadoop, you have to rebuild. My understanding is you have to rebuild a lot of these things to monitor, to mimic that, right? So from operational aspects of it, it's a huge value add for our customers and removes so many moving pieces significantly.
Thank you, Krishna. And just I know that there was a person who was struggling to join, and I think he's joined. Velvizi, you have joined? You're able to hear us, right?
Yes, I'm able. I joined just now. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. So, Velvizi, you can send your email address in the chat so that the programs team can actually add you as a member into this Microsoft Teams. So you can personal email ID, right? So you can have your own login and email ID. You can log in, and there's a lot of collaboration platform that we do before and after events and all, right? So just send your email address, we'll get you in so that you won't have this problem again.
Okay, so I just messaged it in meeting chat. Will that work?
Yeah. In this chat window, you can just put it. Programs teams will take it and add you into that. And once they added it, you will get an email from Microsoft, to become a member into this. And once you register then you should be able to see the teams and collaborate with us. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Right. Sorry. Coming back, Krishna. I mean, The other thing that I wanted to ask you is data engineer and data scientist. What is the difference between them?
So that's a lot. You know what, I'll hold that question in the for future session, because it varies. I would say data engineer, in my view, is basically somebody hands-on, very able to use multiple tool sets and things like that to accomplish a piece of work. So what is the other question? Data engineers, basically they tend to know tools, they tend to know technology, they're able to do hands-on. You had other data scientists, is it? What is the other one?
Yeah, data scientist. So the one that you have in slide, data engineer, data scientist, right? They are in the left and right in Azure Databricks.
So from this perspective, you see, it's very clear, right? In terms of the data scientists would usually come up with modeling. They'll come up with defined. Let's say, for example, if you give a whole bunch of data sets, they're able to design and component how to build these models and stuff like that. They come up with machine learning model, pretty much, based on supervised and unsupervised learning. They come up with those things. And I would take the data engineers, basically takes those things in, starts to extract the data from different sources and able to apply those logic that are given by the particular data scientist. So you got to understand, this is from the perspective of Databricks. If you take a normal enterprise, they have their own interpretation. In this case, think about data engineers actually hands to the keyboard, able to implement the ideas built by the data scientist. Usually I call them as data architects. As well, there's the other team that's also, if you've seen in the previous, traditionally you have database administrators, database architects. So in this scenario, scientists are one which is building models, and the engineers are one implementing it. If you take specifically on the Databricks side, Azure does provide multiple different types of services. Data Factory is a tool that will able to extract information from different multiple sources. Data Factory has got pre-built connections, about 80 or 85 different services, starting from Amazon S3 to Google to SAP to ServiceNow, pre-built connections. Okay. And once you have the data connection and Synapse Analytics, I think we touched base a few weeks ago. It's the data warehouse product from Microsoft, which customers usually use it for any type of data warehouse type use cases, And also Power BI is a tool where you display. It's a BI tool that will display your data. And data lake storage it's a binary or large object storage systems. So these integrations comes pre-built with Databricks. Again, if you see the differences, if you use tools, platforms like other Hortonworks and other platforms, some of these integrations might not be available out of the box. You have to build it. So if you come to the right-hand side, Microsoft, if you look at the tools that we also have a machine learning module within our ecosystem, where data scientists will be able to build models and designs and things like that. And it also provide runtime for a number of machine learning models, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and Scikit-learn. So combining these two, and we're using the runtime layer, enterprises are able to build models, execute it, and then see the results immediately without have to worry about infrastructure or scaling, management layers of it. They focus on the job to be completed. And that's a huge advantage of it, this particular platform. And also think about this whole thing, right? If you think about the security, compliance, audit, governance, Active Directory integration, it's all comes natively out of the platform. It's a single platform that is basically going to change. It's actually changing a lot of companies, how they're dealing with this one. I'm seeing a lot of prices for Databricks. Actually, I recommend everybody to go and look at it. Look at the origin of the Databricks. You'll be amazed by how it even came into existence. It's all came when the founder was working with the likes of Twitter to crunch the whole volume of data, and he was able to crunch within overnight on the couple of billion tweets or something. So yeah, just have a look at it. So I totally love the platform. This is one of the best platforms out there at this point in time. Okay, so let me.
Krishna, there's a question from Rajan.
Yes.
If Spark has advantage over big data processing than Hadoop, then why Hadoop is still there?
So see, Spark is it depends on your use case. Okay, if let me take one use case. If you're a traditional company, which have been using Hadoop for a number of years, all your business processes are basically tied into your traditional Hadoop ecosystem, right? Um, that's where most of these companies are in now. They still use that for a number of legacy purposes. If you ask me about 5 years from now, again, this is my prediction, not the industry, where Hadoop would still have a role, but the role will be diminished significantly than what it is now. It's existing because of legacy reasons. If you think about today, customers are not building in Hadoop. Most of them are looking into Databricks, and they're starting to move towards Databricks significantly or Spark platform significantly. So the market share is reducing significantly. And also you see in the last few years, there is a huge consolidation of Hadoop ecosystem to a handful of them. The changes are already happening now. I see more and more Spark. I see more and more Spark being used as native engineering tools versus standard. Hadoop would exist, Hadoop exists for a number of years, but if you think about prominence, it is reducing significantly, used for legacy reasons. If nobody is going to start a Hadoop project as of today, if they're starting it, because then they should really rethink their strategy, why they're using Hadoop in the first place. And also the processing. The other thing is when Hadoop was started, okay, the whole concept of cloud nativity, cloud computing was in the very, very early stages. But as of in this day and age, if you come for 2020 or 2021, cloud computing is becoming a norm. So pretty much everybody knows they will be using it. Any product that needs to be relevant has to use the cloud computing principles. For example, if you use Databricks, you don't need to worry about the underlying cluster. Scale up and scale down a native platform. Try that with Hadoop, you won't be able to do that. And also, what I also heard is the promises made by Hadoop ecosystem is also diminishing faster, because when Hadoop was there, the customers are using huge volume of data, unstructured data, everything was dumped into Hadoop, and it found building a metadata structure or even building a metabase was extremely hard, and a lot of customers have to build third-party tools on top of it, and that added more complexity to the system. When they want to introduce security, all of a sudden it become a challenge. If you take Databricks, if you use Azure, you can apply a lot of the Azure security policies onto it. There's a whole bunch of differentiation. I think Hadoop would still stay, but Databricks is going to take more and more. Spark is going to be more and more efficient. So hopefully answer the question. After the session, I will send you a white paper or something which talks in depth about this one. Okay, let's. I think next one is use cases. That I introduced a couple of use cases which I found in the industry. The first one is customer analytics, and second, financial modeling, risk and fraud detection, credit analytics, as well as the market analytics. So so one could argue, hey, I can do the same thing in Hadoop. Yes, you can, but the question is, are you able to do that efficiently? Something which you should think about based on your business needs and how you're going to do it. So yeah, anything that you can see here, you can do other tools, but I see these use cases are specifically picked out based on the success of the Databricks platform. And I've seen, this is where I see the security use cases. I've seen Hadoop, I see Databricks is used exceptionally far better, because even a lot of the security products in the marketplace, especially on the intrusion detection and preventive analytics, just go to just Bing or Google, Apple and Databricks and Spark. Apple is I heard is one of the largest customer of Spark anywhere in the world. They use this product extensively because of the nature of how the Spark works. It's able to process trillions of rows in a couple of seconds. So I think I'll definitely look into intrusion security is one area where Spark is used extensively, and also the fraud and risk analytics and things like that. So it's again because everything is processed in memory, it's real time. Spark is able to perform much better than any other tool sets. I'll definitely recommend you. I'll send a link after this session, also a YouTube video, so where the Apple engineering team explained how they're using Spark for the security stuff. Okay, so next one I'm going to jump into why AI now. So just want to start off this this session with some sort of a industry, I would say, survey. Basically, in the next 3 years or so, about 91% of the companies or enterprises are planning to use AI in some shape or form, and also other, like if you see in the last, this number would have been changing now because it's all before COVID. Any data points you have before COVID and now, it would have been changed significantly. So already I've 37% of the enterprise has started using AI significantly, and there are top 3 challenges that are inhibiting the growth. One is lack of skills. As you might have, enterprises are finding very hard to find people with AI ML skills. It's one of the hot areas to in the market. If you have that, pretty much you tend to be hired very faster. And the second one is a lot of companies also struggle how to define an AI strategy. And the last one is use cases. Okay, even if you might have people, you might have a strategy, but use cases for AI is also very challenging. If you're wondering why all those things, is because even if you take today's day and age, right? If you take the current situation or scenario in place, most customers tend to have some sort of a big data roadmap, big data strategy, but the way to apply AI is very challenging because this is a new paradigm, a new area of building solutions. A lot of customers are not able to connect these disparate ideas into an AI model. For example, if you take if you take financial institutions, or if you take banking, and also if you take retail, everybody knows, what, I want to do X type of machine learning, I want to do AI on this, but where the challenge happens is taking that idea into and converting them into a real executionable solution is challenging because of skills, as well as and also there's a huge gap in terms of people that are done in the past, right? There's no industry experience, so it's a learning curve. I'm sure this is going to change. That's one of the reasons we are hosting a separate session the next few weeks, is specifically on those areas. So yeah, if you can attend it, you're going to pick up some new ideas as well. So I'll go into agenda here. So I just want to give credits to 2 of my co-authors. One is Jaya. She's a senior data scientist at Microsoft. She has been in the industry for about 16, 17 years. So, and also we have Saad. Saad, pretty much most of you all know, he's one of our, I would say he's a data engineer plus a data scientist in one go. So he also worked with me on putting some of these content together. Again, I come from a different perspective. I come from infrastructure architecture solutioning world. So I got somebody that does this for a living and build this content here. So there might be some gaps in my explanation, but pretty much if you have anything, let me know. I will do my best to answer the questions. So we'll quickly touch base on introduction to AI and ML deep learning. The second piece would be the importance of AI and ML in enterprise level. And then we found an interesting dataset challenge, COVID-19 dataset challenge. So when Saad is hosting this session, he will show you a live example of how to use the COVID-19 dataset using Python to do analysis and do some inferences. That's a fantastic one. During Saad session, he will show that to you guys. So So basically, if you take how does AI help you, right? So how we can use AI to enable your businesses. So we have three core scenarios that our customers are using today to transform the businesses today. The first one is a conversational digital assistants, right? So according to statistics or data points, by 2025, 95% of the customer interaction will take place via bots. Because bot becomes a crucial engagement tool to build customer loyalty and as well as competitive advantage. One of the Microsoft advantages, basically, we're able to cover. We have a powerful bot platform, and we combine it with the cognitive services within Azure ecosystem. As an enterprise, you can build an agents to streamline work processes and also integrate into your customer existing data estate, right? So we spoke about data estate a few weeks ago. The data estates can live on premises or on an enterprise or on the edge on the cloud. So let me explain to you. So if you go to any website, if you go to any process, any sort of customer interactive website, you always see a pop-up in the bottom of it, right? So you type in something, hey, they'll usually ask what do you want to do, are you interested in the service and service products or services? You usually get a bot of some sort in the back end that can interact with you in real time and do it. So I think after COVID, I'm seeing the penetration of bots have increased significantly. Even if you pick up a call, even if you try to talk to somebody over a phone, most of the time you will have some sort of a bot or listening engine in the back end. Even in use your phone, if you call the keyword, hey Google or hey Siri, all of a sudden the bot would come live and then it's going to answer it. So I see a huge influx of these bots. If you take robotic process automation, those type of bots do business processing. If you take Microsoft, we have Power Platform and Power Automate. A lot of these things use bot framework in the back. So that's a digital agents perspective. The second one we want to talk about is called the intelligent apps. So basically, if you think about the intelligent apps, artificial intelligence to build custom applications, right? So when you think about it, so these are applications which are available for customers that has got pre-built AI models into the developer. You don't have to worry about knowing what the models are, what those process or automated processes are. You can basically use that using API available. The last one is transformation of the business processes. So this is what I'm talking about earlier about RD and RPA. As and when I started the COVID happening, a lot of enterprises started adopting automated processing, business processes very significantly. For example, if you ever filled a form anywhere in the web or any sort of portal, 99% of the times these forms are processed by a pre-built business process engine. That's why if you see in the last few years, UiPath and Blue Prism, most of you in the working in enterprise will be starting to hear these keywords. That's the next paradigm shift. Even Microsoft bought a company called Softonic few weeks ago. So this business process automation is going to be huge in terms of how AI is being used. In summary, because of all the changes that are happening in the industry, the AI is going to play a major role both in transforming our individual lives as well as the business lives significantly, because you don't have, people can't really go because of COVID. You can't really go and work in offices, physical locations. So a lot of these processes which we used to do are getting converted into AI-driven process. I'm going to take two use cases and then I will go into that. The first use case I'm going to do is it's basically on the manufacturing side. I will start with the first one, which is engaging customers as well, and then go into the transformation of product and employees and optimization of operations. If you take the customer engagement, right? So as you know, especially in the manufacturing sector, one of the ways AI can play a major role is how we are able to interact with the customer. Let's take a simple example of a manufacturer that is manufacturing certain components and services and things like that. So there are custom bots or AI models which are built for manufacturing industry, which has got pre-built or configured knowledge about the particular industry in question, or would be able to, for example, so even as simple as ordering parts or ordering some services or ordering some sort of solutions from a manufacturing can be built using bots. The second one is transformation of products. So one of the use case I've seen in the recent times is if you're seeing chip manufacturing as an example. So every single chip has to have the same exact form factor, the exact same configuration, things like that. So there are high-speed cameras now that can actually look at each and every single chip and make sure there are no flaws in those chips. So by making sure it compares with using image recognition, it's able to compare exact copies or ensure these copies are exactly according to specification. So you see more and more. So these and the
Hey,
empowering
Krishna?
employees again, because of
Krishna, sorry.
yes.
This is Kader. There was some quality issues. I'm not sure. Was it from my end or can everyone hear Krishna properly?
Is it better now?
It is breaking. I thought it's my
Yeah.
internet connection, Kader.
So just one second.
Same here.
Just one second. Huh? Yep.
Yeah,
Just give
there
me
was some scattered breaking. Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better.
So I was just touching base. Okay. Let me come back. So where I was, so in terms of optimizing operations, right? So I see. So to give you a simple example, there are companies like Atabotics, which based out of Canada. So what these guys do is they go to the manufacturing floor or shop floor. They deploy these robots, which can actually remove number of redundant activities that are done by employees. It could be moving from point A to point B or reducing the movement between point A to point B, as well as ability to optimize some of the repetitive jobs. I see more and more. So just look for, I'll send a link after this call. It's Atabotics, which are also now coming up with specific solutions that will increase efficiencies of warehouse and shop floor significantly. You can go and see, you can basically see this multiple side of things too, right? So one is shop floor management and also distribution side of things, and also returns. So the whole bunch of things are done by AI at this point in time. The last one is empowering employees. If you're able to it. I'm not sure if you guys seen HoloLens or any sort of augmented reality. Now, all you need is you host the HoloLens, and then it's going to give you real-time augmented reality based solutions. If you want to really want to understand how this one looks, go to Minecraft Earth. If you haven't played with it, just as a simple app from Microsoft, you can convert your living space into a digital virtual reality realm where you can build objects within in digital world that will also have interact with the real with the real world. So I've seen, for example, especially in terms of any sort of maintenance activities, a lot of service engineers can put up a glass or put up a augmented reality glasses or HoloLens, and they can actually start to see how these changes they're making for this particular part can impact the entire, the manufacturing plant. So there's a whole bunch of things happening there. So it's a very fascinating advancements. but the skill set that are required to build these solutions also, there's a lot of gaps in it, but I see more and more as things go along. You're going to see more and more improvement on how customers are able to use these to their advantage.
Krishna, we have a question from Ajit.
Yes.
How is BizTalk-based business process automation going to change with cloud and AI?
That's a very good question. So if you think about BizTalk, it's basically it's a middleware layer. There's a lot of the BizTalk features and functionalities are getting baked into cloud using event streaming or logic apps or multitude of services. So BizTalk is there, and also some of these functions are taken over by Power Apps or also Power Automate. If you are traditional BizTalk different processes or a different company, those would be converted into a cloud native world, because even now I know a lot of customers using BizTalk, but there's a whole bunch of transformation happening away from BizTalk into cloud native tools. It's going to change, but if you're going to ask me, whether BizTalk would be in existence, it would be in existence, but customers are moving towards more cloud native endpoints and cloud native solutions because of the influx of the scale and also performance requirements. So I'm not sure that I answered your question specifically, but the equivalent of BizTalk is in Azure would be logic apps. That is going to give you all the connection points you need in a much better fashion than traditional BizTalk. Because again, any solution as of today that uses physical infrastructure that needs to keep constantly updated, constantly managed, that needs capital investment, I would definitely, those systems, I don't believe they will exist in few years from now, because customers don't want to do that. They want to have a service, they enable an endpoint, and they invoke the service through some sort of a trigger mechanism or using some sort of event, and they don't really want to deal with the underlying challenges of the particular infrastructure in question. But BizTalk would be there, but BizTalk won't be in this shape and form. BizTalk would be, the functionality will be split into cloud native tools. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, I can do my best. Either something is not right in the network. I keep saying the network is very slow, so if you might be hearing gaps and return my call. So let me quickly go through it.
Yeah, there is some disturbance. Sorry, Krishna, there is some disturbance.
Yeah, it is not really good. So my network is really bad. So let's I'll do my best, because I can see it saying network is really bad. So yeah,
but no worries, no worries. No, you're giving us the introduction for artificial intelligence. Anyways, there is a session detailed that we're going to discuss in AI, which is in Eventbrite. So most of the people already have known about it, right? So yeah, let's cover as much as you can with the connection we have, and we still have like another 6 to 8 minutes to close the session anyway. So
okay. So in terms of banking, banking is one area which is definitely that's going for a big transformation. First and foremost would be identity protection, right? Identity protection is area where I see heaps of innovation. For example, if you ever used your bank account and you always use your laptop constantly, and one day you go and log into a different laptop or a different region, you get notified, hey, are you sure you are the right person? And then it will ask you from challenges, hey, maybe you have to answer your security questions. That's a very simple example for the identity protection. But apart from that, are much more complicated. We also have things like travel. Most of the time, if you are sometimes you might log in today morning in one region, let's say in Canada, and all of a sudden in the afternoon, if you're logging from say Australia, and that's going to pop out like travel sort of thing, and see, it goes on to it, right? Not only that, if you do extraordinary amount of transactions, it's going to pop that up. So multiple use cases. Actually, the tellers, if you see technically, they haven't seen it. There is all the teller type of resources are all becoming more AI-based model. And one thing I like to talk about is the banking products powered by AI. So, for example, if you have noticed, if you take RBC, it's not very glamorous, but it will tell you your spend pattern, and then it can also predict how your spend is going to be in few months' time, or the few weeks' time. And now you also started with things like robo advisors, which will help you to invest on certain types of stocks based on the market sentiments as well as your personal goals. So there's a whole bunch of new products are coming in. If you think about Wealth Simple, Robinhood, those sort of new generation tools are there. If you think about employees, we spoke about RD and RPA, robotic process automation, and also robotic desktop automation, and also for obviously there's relationship managers. If you've seen, usually you tend to get a notification when you make a large deposit or when you make a substantial home purchase or something. All of a sudden you get notifications on, hey, you seems to have brought some new products in. Why don't you start looking at other products too, right? So a lot of these things are also helps you build the relationship with the bank in a much deeper fashion. The last one is to reduce customer churn. So especially it doesn't happen here often, but if you take countries like India or US, where there's a huge customer churn because of the way the products and services are available. So you do not reduce customer churn. The financial enterprises tend to use these sort of models to that. Not only this, additionally, you also have things like credit scoring. If you go to your credit score, there are new ways of your credit scores are getting captured. It's not only how you're able to pay your bills. Now some companies have started to use social media sentiments to evaluate your credit scores as well. And the last one is know your customer, and that's usually used for fraud prevention. So the use cases keeps on going. It's this just two of the, I would say, two of the industries. But if you take on its own, there's a bunch. I also touched base on the retail industry. We have 2 more minutes. Retail industry is one where you're going to see heaps of innovation because of the fact in this day and age, you technically speaking, you cannot visit a physical store, but you can have a digital experience using digital stores significantly. I think there are 2 prime examples which nobody knows. A lot of people don't need introduction. If you take about Shopify and if you take about Amazon's, right? Shopify as a company has grown leaps and bounds because of the way these guys are able to build an online store with all the bells and whistles, with low footprint, and able to change the industry in its own, like transform the industry significantly. And the second one is obviously Amazon. Amazon has built an entire end-to-end full supply chain using this particular one, and it also impacted your traditional vendors like Sears and other vendors which are not able to capture these ones. For example, I saw that today, if you want to buy a shirt or if you want to buy any, especially if you take any garment industry, so now we have using augmented reality plus the information about you. You can actually try out your so-called dresses within your confines of your home. I'm seeing more and more these sort of products are getting more and more prevalent in these days. So retail industry is going to massive transformation. If you ever want to go dig some deeper, look into companies like Etsy, 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 Wayfair. They are also changing how you shop and buy and things like that. Even as far as I'm seeing especially on new companies which are coming in, which will locally source your products versus shipping from warehouses. I saw a company here in Toronto where it will only find products which are within the next 5 kilometers. That also reduces the greenhouse gas effects immensely. It also needs to build up a new supply, reducing the cost of supply chain. So the whole bunch of things happening this year. I think you're going to see a transformation, and most old traditional vendors who might be having a tough time satisfying these needs. So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things happening on the retail side. I'll send you some links for you guys to read through. I can include a couple of use cases and transformation scenarios that can be take advantage of AI. So from this one, it's a deep dive on how to get introduced to ANML. So maybe I'll touch base on this next week. But we have a very deep dive topic on this through Saad. So we're already hitting 11:30, right, Kadir?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, Krishna, we can continue in our next session, right? I think this is the right place to start introduction to AI and ML.
Yeah,
and
so,
that will kind of continue the, you will provide the introduction, then we can get into Kubernetes, and then the details, hands-on can be taken by, yeah.
So I think in today's session we covered the basic. We covered two key things. One is Databricks, and also touching base on industry focused three industries. Retail, manufacturing, and as well as banking. So from the next week when we come back onto this, we'll touch base on introduction of ANML. How does the LiDAR camera work? I'll also show you a interesting use case from city of Kelowna. So there is what Rogers did is, so they deployed LiDAR sensors in traffic signals to understand the traffic behavior patterns and things like that. It will be a very interesting use case. So where I see this is taking more and more prevalency is because of the advent of 5G. All of a sudden, the landscape for using ANML has increased significantly, and also one other new, I would say, new paradigm is called responsible AI. Again, I'll touch base in the subsequent session next week or so. It's about removing or reducing bias based on the learned models or unlearned models. For example, if you search certain types of text, one classic use case I tend to see more and frequently. Let's say, for example, if you have a location of suburb where the average grades in that particular in that particular district, as an example, is 95% and above, right? For example, but if that particular district might have other advantages that contribute to the higher scores, but on the same note, if it's a different district just got a different socioeconomic conditions, if somebody getting a grade 70, when machine learning models compares to this one, it will compare just the 95 versus 70, and it might put that team or people that are getting the 70% score would be in a disadvantaged position. That's where responsible AI comes into play. And also sometimes what I also learned is because of the amount of data that we collect, it is possible to re-engineer some of the data and do backtracking to find out the source of these of these individuals, and also it also leaks out PI information. That's why the responsible AI is a methodology where noise is introduced in the data sets, and machine learning models are encouraged to not to be biased. There's a whole topic I'll touch base on next week. So I think I'll leave at this point in time for you guys to review the material, and next week I will touch base and go into the security and things like that. Anyway, we're having a very deep dive session on this through Saad. And then we can go deep into that at that point in time.
Yeah. Thanks, Krishna. And those who do not have access to the Microsoft Teams, only those who have access to the Microsoft Teams get all the presentation, right? So you can always review them, and we'll also post them in YouTube. You can go to YouTube and click Testoper. You will see a lot of search Testoper. You will see a lot of stuff. and join us in the future programs. Refer to your friends to kind of come and learn from us. We are doing just to, as a non-profit to help you guys to learn and become a creative talent and serve better as an entrepreneur and entrepreneur in your organization as such. Krishna, I have one small ask. Can you send the PPT version of your presentation to my email ID?
Yep, I'll do that now.
Yeah, the reason is that there's some finance guys have asked me to speak some 10 minutes, so I probably will use the finance related picture from there.
Sure, I'll do that now.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So I'll leave you guys. Have a great, wonderful weekend and continue to learn. Because lifelong continuous learning is what is going to make you successful and not worry about machine taking over the people's job, right? So all the very best, and I'll look forward to talk to you next week, same time. And for those who attend the test automation Codeathon on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Krishna, and thanks, Kader. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Kader. Thank you all. Bye.